Candidate Buddy Roemer joins us now from St. Anselm College in Manchester, New Hampshire. Welcome to Democracy Now!, Governor. Talk about why it is that you are running for president, and then why it is most people do not know you're running for president.
The country's in a modest recovery now. Earlier this year, we had the same jobs report that things were recovering, and it slid right back down. I think the nation is in decline. Long term, we've lost 1.5 million jobs net in this country compared to when Bill Clinton was president. Long term, we have unsustainable trade imbalances. Long term, we have a debt we can't repay. Long term, we've lost 3 out of 4 manufacturing jobs because of unfair trade treaties. I think this nation is in trouble. The corporations have made more money in the last 18 months than any time in the history of America. So what's the disconnect? A president gets elected and he says he wants change, but he takes all his money from these same corporations who don't want change. Special interests control Washington. I've been there. I'm the only person running that spent 8 years as a congressman and spent 4 years as governor of a state, turning unemployment around. The issue in this campaign, the key to turning America around, is not budget reform. We need it. Tax reform. We need it. Trade reform. We need it. Immigration reform. We need it. Bank reform. We need it. Healthcare reform. We need it. But the key is to take the lobbyists out of the room and let plain people get in there and turn this country around. That's what I proposed. It's not complicated. It's not difficult. It's the way I always run for office, and I usually win if I can get my message to the people. I've been shut out of the debates. My message has not reached the people. We can do better, America. Kick the lobbyists out of the room.
And, well, Governor Roemer, why do you think your message has not been allowed to get out by the various media companies who have controlled these debates?
Well, I think you just answered it. There's a different criterion or a different criterion at every debate. We call and ask. First, you had to be an official candidate for president. I thought that was fair. I announced at Dartmouth College in New Hampshire in August. We called for the next debate. They said, well, you have to have 1% in a national poll. We worked 4 weeks. We made 1%. I called again. They said, oh, you have to have 2% now, Governor. We made 2%. I called again 3 debates ago, and they said, well, you had to raise $500,000 in the last 90 days. We had raised $256,000. No check over $100, average gift $51, all 50 states participating from California to Maine, and they said, well, you need to raise $500,000. Is that the standard to elect our president? Is that what we're doing in America now? Look, I'm not perfect in anything, and I don't know everything, but I have been a congressman. I have been a governor. I have built $1 billion bank with no bailout money, profitable. I have built jobs. I know what to do, and I can't even get in the debate. It is amazing to me.
Buddy Roemer, you were a Democrat. Then you switched to the Republican Party. Why?
I did that 20 years ago, 1991. I was governor of Louisiana. We were a state in great difficulty, and there were 2 reasons I switched. One, I have the same principles as a conservative Democrat. I admit that. I believe in smaller government. I believe in better government. I believe in individual initiative. But I believe there's a role for government in places, and I thought the Democratic Party had left me. They had become a party of huge government. They represented government employees. I couldn't get any job creation going in the Democratic Party. That's number one. By the way, I helped form a group of Democrats called the Boll Weevils in Congress. We worked with President Reagan for 8 years. I was proud of that. Number two, Louisiana was a one-party state. When I looked at my state legislature, there were 144 members. 136 of them were Democrats. There was no debate. There was no choice. There was no competition. So I thought that one of the lasting things I could do would be to change parties because it fit my belief better, although I like some things the Democrats stand for. And number two, give the state a two-party system, which will make it a better state. It's worked just like that. Now, Republicans are about 55 to 60% of the legislature. There's clear debate. There's clear dialogue. A one-party nation, a one-party state is corrupt, and I wanted to change that.
Governor Roemer, you're probably also one of the few Republican politicians who has been supportive of the Occupy Wall Street movement. Could you talk about that and why you see a positive role for the Occupy movement in American politics?
I believe they smell what's wrong with America. Corruption at the top. I mean, Wall Street and Washington, D.C. are connected at the pocketbook. Come on, guys. I mean, we did health care reform. I'm a diabetic. We need to do health care reform. But here's what President Obama did. He called the pharmaceutical companies. He called the tort lawyers. He called the lobbyists. He called the lawyers. He called the hospitals. There were no doctors. There were no patients. There were no nurses. That's where you start with health care reform. Look, Washington is run for the money. And wherever the money is, ethanol subsidies, subsidies to huge oil companies, loopholes where General Electric can build a plant in China, sell the product back in America, and deduct the expense in China while they close down American plants. It's not right. It's not healthy. It's not fair. I'm a capitalist. I mean, I went to Harvard and studied economics. I got my master's degree from the Harvard Business School in banking and finance. I build companies. I built a nice, profitable bank. I believe in capitalism, but I also believe in fair play. I believe in a speed limit on the highway, and I think America is bought and sold by the big companies and the special interests. Hell, I went to Iowa in February, gave one speech, and I said, I've come to Iowa to lose the election. The first thing I'll do as president is cut the ethanol subsidies. It goes to 3 large corporations. It doesn't help anybody in America. It's been there 27 years. We need to spend within our means. And I'll ask everybody to give something. The oil companies and the ethanol growers. That's the kind of guy I am. I'm an American first, not a Republican. I'm an American first, and we need to get this country right again.
I just wanted to talk about the polls. They're very interesting. You've seen significant gains in New Hampshire's latest polls, Governor Roemer. In the 7 News Suffolk University poll, which ended December 13th, Roemer's 2% helped him pass Rick Perry, tie Rick Santorum, landed him just a percentage point behind Michelle Bachmann, who's now pulled out. Your support doubled from the previous poll.
Yeah.
And yet you're not in. There's 2 major debates that are taking place this weekend.
Yeah. I don't understand it. I mean, look, I'm not pretending to be something I'm not. I'm not well-financed. I mean, I'm proud of my volunteers. Let me say it again. I'm proud of them. We cover New Hampshire, but we are forgotten. In the 21st century, if you're not in the debates, you're not a candidate. You should go with me sometime into a room full of 30 or 40 people to hear a presidential candidate. And they like what I say, and they join hands with me. But the first question they ask me is, I didn't know you were running, buddy. I've never seen you in a debate. Look, America is controlled by who they allow in the debate. Maybe my ideas on fair trade, Maybe my ideas on immigration reform, maybe my ideas on tax reform might add something to debate. And like I said, I'm the only person running who's been a congressman and a governor and recognized as both. I can't even get to first base. I'm running a race with my feet tied. It's amazing.
Well, Governor, I want to ask you, one of the big issues, obviously, in recent months in the debate over wealth inequality has been the Republican Party attacks in various states on the rights of labor unions and union members to organize. What's your view on the rights of workers to form unions and to have the collective bargaining with their employers?
I think all employees have the right to join a union. We are a right-to-work state in Louisiana. I worked hard for that so that they could not be abused, and there was some abuse in the system. That can be debated, but Louisiana decided to make it easier for an employee to say no. But an employee has a right to say yes. Public employees are a little different. They do not have the right to strike. They also have to be careful because they contribute a large amount of money and organization to the very person who's doing the negotiation after the election's over. So it needs to be very structured and very careful. I support a step away from the right to strike for a public employee. I don't think that's healthy for policemen. I don't think that's healthy for school teachers, and I don't think that's healthy for states. Let me say it again. The right to organize is fundamental, and I stand for it. But it must be balanced with common sense and community good.
Governor Buddy Roemer, this weekend when the debates take place, how can people find out your responses to the questions since you're not included in either? Are you going to be doing what you did in Iowa?
Oh, you know my trick, don't you? Yeah, we tweet during every debate. I mean, we answer the questions as they're asked. I mean, I know when Rick Perry had his unfortunate mistake and forgot the answer to his own question, we tweeted the answer, you know, commerce, education.
So how do we follow you?
BuddyRoemer.com. BuddyRoemer.com is the way to plug into all my social media. It's a big thing with what we do. We pride ourselves on leading the vanguard.
We only have 5 seconds. Have you thought of going to the debate anyway, actually physically showing up?
You know, maybe. Maybe. It's a trick. I'm not into tricks. I just want justice.